A dead man's painting. Raghupati was a rich landlord who had a son called Sahdev. The boy's mother died when he was very young, so Sahdev was brought up by his father. He turned out a spoiled and mean child. When Sahdev was about 10 years old, his father married a second time. His new wife, Arundhati, was a sweet, good natured woman. Sahadev was furious when his father got a new wife home and refused to behave well with his stepmother. After some time, when Arundhati gave birth to a boy, Sahadev started hating her even more. He wanted nothing to do with his stepbrother. Raghupati tried his best to make him see reason, but he refused to listen. Then came a day when Raghupati fell very sick. Though he was treated by the best doctors in the kingdom, he soon realized his end was near. He decided to make a will and write down how his vast property should be divided after his death. When he finished writing his will, he called his wife and told her, "When you first read this, it may seem to you that I have done you a great injustice. But have faith. I only want to protect you and our son Janardhan from such Sahadeva's wrath." Then he gave her a beautifully framed painting of his own face, done by one of the best artists of the kingdom, and told her, "When our son Janardhan is 18 years old, take this to the king's minister Krishnakant. He will see that justice is done to you." Arundhati was puzzled. "Do you know Krishnakant?" she asked. "No," replied her husband, "but I have heard a lot about his wisdom. He will know how to help you." A few days later, after this conversation, Raghupati died. Sahadev could not wait for the rituals to be over so he could read the will. The day came when the will was finally opened and read out. In it, Raghupati had left his large mansion and the surrounding fertile fields to Sahadev. To Arundhati and Janardhan, he had left only a ramshackle outhouse and some dry scrubland surrounding it. Sahadev was thrilled when he heard this. At least his father had seen sense on his deathbed. Happily, he moved into the big house, and poor Arundhati and her young son went to live in the broken down little hut. But she remembered what her husband had told her and kept the painting safe with her, waiting for the day Janardhan would turn 18. Thus years passed, and on the day of Janardhan's 18th birthday, Arundhati made her way to Krishnakant's house, the painting tucked under her arm. When she met him, she told him her entire story. Krishnakant was surprised. How was he to help her? After all, he had never seen, let alone known, Raghupati, but Arundhati was insistent. "You must help," she pleaded. "My husband had great faith in your wisdom." She left the painting with him and went back home. After she had gone, Krishnakant laid the painting on the floor and looked at it carefully. He wondered what secret was hidden in it. Then he noticed the painting was crooked and pulled at a corner. To his surprise, the painting came out, and hidden behind it was a sheet of paper, a letter. "Sir," said the letter, "you must be reading this many years after my death. In my life, I heard many stories about you and how you helped people who were in trouble. I'm sure my wife and son are in misery now. You have to help them somehow. The painting you are holding is my portrait. I can also tell you that the house where my wife now lives has 10 golden bricks. It is up to you to extract those bricks and see she gets them without being harassed by my first son Sahadev." It was signed Raghupati. Krishnakant stood quietly for a while after reading this, deep in thought. Then he smiled. He had a plan. The next day, Krishnakant called Sahadev and a few wise men to Arundhati's house. He got chairs laid out for everyone in the open field outside. To their surprise, he kept one chair separate and would not let anyone sit in it. When everyone was seated, he turned to the unoccupied chair and spoke to it. I will see that things are carried out according to your will. The wisest men of this village are my witness. You will, you will at last go to heaven in peace. Then he turned around to the astonished group of people and said, I was visited yesterday by the ghost of Raghupati. Was he not a fair, tall man with a long nose and a mark on his forehead? The people nodded in fear. Krishnakant had never met Raghupati when he was alive, so how did he know what he looked like? Surely his ghost could not be around still. Krishnakant now nodded and sighed sadly. So it was his ghost that came to me yesterday and said his wishes according to his will had not been carried out, and I promised to look into the matter. He asked Sahadev, did your father leave you big house and all the fields? Sahadev nodded. And he left the small outhouse and the land around it to your stepmother and stepbrother? Sahadev nodded again. And you are sure you have no claim to whatever there is in that house and on that land? Sahadev nodded again vigorously. Krishnakant now turned to Arundhati and said, your husband's ghost wanted me to tell you that he wishes the house to be destroyed. Now that Sahadev has said he has no interest in the house and whatever lies in it, I am ordering your house to be demolished right now. Arundhati, almost in tears, did not know what to say. She could only look on in horror as Krishnakant's men went up to her little hut with hammers and crowbars and started breaking it down. Sahadev looked on happily till, imagine his dismay, the men came back to the group holding 10 golden bricks in their hands. Krishnakant turned to Arundhati. Your husband left these bricks in the house. Since everything there belongs to you, and Sahadev has said in front of everyone he has no claim on anything from there, you are now their rightful owner. Taking a quick look at the empty chair, he said, Raghupati is happy now. He will go to heaven at last, his soul in peace. With a twirl of his moustache, Krishnakant marched off, leaving behind an amazed Arundhati, now rich beyond her dreams, and a furious Sahadev, who had been outwitted at last, all thanks to the painting of a dead man.